Hey, Steve here again. We're in Bendigo with a really good friend of mine, Phil Pilven, and I'm just going to take you through the bits and pieces in his shed. He's had Datsuns, Nissan Datsun stuff, been collecting it and selling it for years and years, and it's the amount of stuff here is quite amazing. So we're going to have a bit of a walk through and we'll have a look at what he's got. And this is Phil.
Good afternoon.
So this is one of Phil's cars, a Datsun 1600, which is a circuit racing car, and it's got a SR20 engine in it, which is on throttle body fuel injection, and it's actually just come back from the dyno, and he's in the middle of chasing drivability and a bit of horsepower, but it's a nice Datsun 1600. Motec fuel injection. Coming around, this is the shed here. Here's a Datsun 200B. Over the back there is a Datsun 1600, which has got a part of a roll cage in it. We'll just wander over and have a look at that. So there's an array of Datsun 1600 doors, but they fit to this body shell here, I'm assuming. Yep. It's a car Phil's had for a long time, and he's just put it down and giving it a birthday and built it back into a rally car. So, although it was a rally car all the time, was it, Phil? Yeah. Okay, so just really a clean-up, time for a clean-up?
Yes.
And cylinder heads. If you want a Datsun or a Nissan cylinder head, it's all here. So Phil has wrecked out a lot of cars, and he supplies to the trade. And these are gearboxes. They're just a total array of gearboxes, from Skylines to 720s to
Bluebirds, 240k.
Yeah, okay. Drive shafts and tail shafts coming down, engine front covers and so on, brakes. Everywhere you look there's a Datsun L series engine hiding somewhere. And up the top here we've got
Skyline R32 stuff.
So R32 Skyline.
Yeah. 80 litre fuel tank, some spare blocks.
Headlight surrounds. So many of them I know were thrown away. They're all the hard to get parts, like that's the metal surround for the tail light. So much of it has been thrown away, and nowadays just getting the stuff. This is the sort of stuff that Phil's buys. Gets a car like this, dismantles it, all the parts like headlights, bumpers, tail lights, engine, gearbox, diff assembly and so on.
All be recycled.
Pardon? All to be recycled, yeah.
For somebody that's enthusiast doing another car project of a similar engine, and all the little bits and pieces that aren't available anymore become trinkets that they chase.
So this is just further out into the yard. Another sort of example of what Phil will buy. This is a Nissan, what is it,
Navara.
Nissan Navara?
D21 Navara.
And Phil will sell things like, all the wheels and tyres are already sold off it. These aren't the ones that were on it. No. Differential, engine, gearbox and so on are all parts that can be used to build competition cars like Datsun 1600s or so on. And here's a Datsun Bluebird, which has been brought in. There's a project going on that'll may or may not be used for, but there's a lot of parts in that car that'll
5-speed gearbox, late model engine, electronic distributor, all the bits and pieces that can be reused into different cars, or somebody's got a project that they're rebuilding.
Lots of stuff. Datsun Bluebird wagon, and once again, all of these cars, well, most people would throw them away, but there's valuable items in them, and Phil recognises that a long time ago. We've got Datsun 180Bs coming across. I think there's another 1600. I'll come around there. Where's that one? Okay, another 1600 shell. Fairly knocked about, but
68.
these things are valuing now, and it's one of the ones that's valuing. So this is Nissan Navara.
Yep.
And what did you buy this for?
The KA24 twin cam motor and 5-speed gearbox, which were built into a new race car motor for one of my projects.
It's may surprise some people, but a lot of the commercial vehicles, the engines and so on, lend themselves really well to be built into racing car stuff. And we've got a Datsun 200B here. What they used to say about a 200B was a 180B with 20 more faults. Is that right?
That's correct. You used to use the front end out of these and make a very nice front end for a 1600?
Yes, when I had Kaitler Motorsport Engineering, which is still up and going, but I used to use the front of these cars, the front suspension and cross members and so on, to fit into Datsun 1600s, and made them extraordinarily strong. And
front bowl sump.
Pardon?
You used them as a front bowl sump?
Yeah, front bowl sump to use it.
Oil.
Yeah, for better oil distribution for the 2-litre engines we put in them, and but also it quickened the steering up and things like that. Yeah, we move on to a Skyline. It would have been someone's pride and joy a long time ago, but here it is here, and it's going to go on and
probably be a motorsport car for some enthusiasts.
Yeah, okay.
Have a drive of.
Yep, onto a BM motorsport car. Fairly neglected now, but all of them are starting to realise value. That's the thing about it. And we have over here is a Toyota. What's a Toyota doing in the yard, Phil?
Quite a rare. It's actually a panel van.
Yeah.
Not many of them around. Just came as a collection of something else I bought at the time. Looking for a new home for that at some stage.
I'll let you go. Looks like a good project car for somebody. And we've got another Skyline here.
Pintara.
What's this one?
Pintara.
Oh, Pintara. This is an Australian built car, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Built on the Skyline platform.
You got a Mitsubishi VR4 wagon.
Legume wagon.
And why you just bought them because they came up and
Yeah, that's going to Sydney next week.
which one?
The white one.
Okay.
Brembo 4 spots, big brakes on it. VR4. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Looks the part.
Yeah, very nice motor.
And what's actually happening to the car when it goes to Sydney? What are they doing with it?
Going to be restored.
Oh, okay.
By the owner of Colt Speed in Sydney, who's quite famous, Ron Macing's son, David.
Okay.
We'll restore this as he knows all about them.
Oh. Datsun 180B. This one's had a little bit of too much weight put on the roof, but you can overlook a few small faults, can't you?
Yeah. It'll buff out.
Oh God, you can't have a YouTube comment without that, can you? It'll buff out. Yeah. What a lovely bit of gear. But once again, there's valuable parts. The tail lights. Someone will want a bumper bar, and so forth. And Another lurking in the yard here is the Datsun 1600. Now, these cars are just getting more and more valuable as the days go by. This one, which is probably only a matter of a few years ago, would have been considered nothing but a parts car and wrecked out. Because of value they're going to, probably more likely than not, it could be restored back to a functioning Datsun 1600. We still have, what do you say, about 68% of the engine still in there. Yeah, I don't think we'll get that one running today, but
Tomorrow's a different day.
Tomorrow's another day. But the thing about it is, just go up again, Phil. You know, it's a Datsun 1600. It has the tags. Has the Australian delivery tag on it. And there is not a lot of rust in here either.
No.
Someone building a project up, a thing like this would be a good starting point, because a lot of people want Datsun 1600s nowadays. It's got a good old hit down here, but nothing a decent guy with a rack would pull out. This is a front cut of a Datsun 1600. Once again, most people would probably just throw it away, but this has a pair of good rails and so on in it. Anyone building a Datsun 1600 nowadays, you would just buy that and store it, because if you damage one, you can't buy it, apart from in this condition. So lurking in another shed, here's a Datsun Stanza, which is a logbooked race car as a sports sedan. Phil, is that correct?
Yes, correct. Bit of form and a bit of history in this one. It was run by Stuart Thompson in the late 80s, early 90s. And just another piece of motoring history.
You could almost say it's a barn find, but we already know where the barn is.
Very close.
You'd almost classify it as a barn find. It's in that. It's got the it's got the required amount of dust on it. Can we open the door, Phil? Complete.
Ready to go tomorrow.
Complete with cobwebs. So what engine was in this?
6-cylinder RB20.
Wow, okay. Bit of Australian motor racing history.
Yep.
Everywhere you turn at this place, you'll find another gem hidden away.
This is probably the world's fastest 120Y. Well, the most expensive 120Y the government has ever seen. It was booked at 154 kilometres an hour on the Tullamarine Freeway and could be proven to only do 135 kilometres an hour, which is well documented on TV and in the Herald Sun. I have the original speeding fine, the front page of the paper, and we're putting restoring it back to its original condition and colour, because the government gave back millions and millions of dollars in speeding fines after they proved that the cameras were misreading. So this is a piece of Australian motoring history.
And you own it, Phil?
Yep. Currently under restoration.
Amazing. So this is the engine that was capable of how fast?
134 kilometres an hour, not the 157 it was booked at.
So it was supposed to be able to do 157 kilometres an hour.
Yeah.
But this is a Datsun A12, I'm assuming?
Yes.
A12 engine, standard.
Yep.
And the test they did at Calder Park
Yes.
was maximum speed was what?
135.
135 kilometres an hour.
So the government relented and gave back all the money to put everybody who'd been booked.
Well, they'd have to, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So how long have you been picking up bits and pieces and so on?
Getting close to 40 years now. I've been involved with rallying and later racing and just generally collecting quite substantial pieces of Datsun history.
Yes, because you've bought and sold many cars, and you actually had at one stage you had one of the factory Nissan Stanzas that you've sold on, and I believe is in the middle of restoration at the moment.
Yeah, the Works Stanza, the Tony Masling V8 Stanza as well, the Chris Randall Stanza, which I owned for 30 odd years. And that's gone to a new home now to be fully restored, just so we can rejuvenate some of the historic cars that I remember from the good old days when we were in the forest in the 80s, sitting on controls or competing in later years with the people that made the sport famous. Thank you for having a look around the workshop today and the various facilities we've got with parts parked around, some of the cars that may be of interest. If you see anything in there that you like or need some advice on some of your project, and if we can help you with any of the bits and pieces, feel free to follow the link that's been left on the video, and we'll be able to look after you, and we ship worldwide if required.